Now, one of the lovely things about Trinidad and Tobago and the wider space is that we have so many references for the same thing. So people may talk about reasonings, grounding, holding a meditation. They may use the word Panchayat. Now, the thing though, Panchayat, the mass in We Symposium, claim or reclaiming the People's Festival, a virtual research and art symposium, is on from Wednesday, February 24 to 26. This is a production of the Faculty of Humanities and Education. And to tell us more, we have Symposium Chair, Mr. Jessel Murray. He joins us and we say thank you so much for making the time. How's the feeling? Feeling excitement? It's right upon us. How you doing, Mr. Murray?
Good evening, and Mr. Roster. Look, I'm really delighted to be here because you all there were the ones who gave us the initial interview about this when it was just a concept, you know, and I remember at that time being fearful of, my God, what do I say? Now I can say we are set to go tomorrow, Wednesday, and then there's Thursday and Friday. We are set with fully peopled 6 academic panels, 2 each morning, actually 7 academic panels. There'll be 3 on Friday. And then we have 2 sets of roundtables on each of the afternoons. And the roundtables, of course, are the more free-flowing ideas. The academic panels, of course, there's a more sort of prepackaged academic offerings. So we're looking forward to the juxtaposition of both, and in between, we actually have interludes of films, short films from the Trinidad and Tobago Carnival Bands Association, films of the ordinary person talking about Carnival Tabanca, and other screenings from our film unit at the Humanities in Education, Faculty of Humanities in Education.
And one of the things, because you've touched on a lot, and we're going to get to the actual panels and break those 7 panels down, hopefully in the second half of the conversation. But the fact that you speak about claiming or reclaiming the mass, sometimes by its very nature, academia can be something that's a bit exclusionary. But you speak of the opportunity or reclaiming that mass while being inclusive to all participants is something that you spoke about when we first had the conversation. But please elaborate on it in this dispensation with the strides and that you all would have made along the process.
Right, but we just sort of reiterating and expanding, we decided that yes, this is a symposium. We are a university, and yes, we would like people to have. There was a call for papers December/January. We got our calls in, we got our papers in, proposals in, fine. But then we said, so what about the quote unquote ordinary people, or the people who don't want to go the route of the papers, who have their own sort of expertise? And this is where our roundtables came in. Our roundtables, which include things such as, on the first day, our theme is mass. So our roundtable will deal with the traditional mass, quote unquote, versus contemporary mass. So we have people, you know, Patrick Roberts, a mass person in it. We have Wendell Manwaring of Tricanal, and of course, in their traditional group. And of course, all of this is near and dear to our heart at Creative and Festival Arts, where I also reside, which does the Oliad every year, which is a celebration of traditional mass. On the second day, we are dealing with music and history, and then again, our roundtables. We have academic panels dealing with everything, including soca, but we also have roundtables dealing with from calypso to soca, and also with the business of steel pan. And then again, in calypso to soca, we have people as a quote unquote on different sides of the spectrum. There's Brother Resistance with calypso. There's Earth and Alves, other part of that. When we talk about the steel pan manufacturer, we have everybody from Akoalith, who is the current director of the National Steel Symphony Orchestra, and we have Marcus Ash representing Panchayat Bego, the education officer, who are both connected with UE, graduates of UE. And then on the last day, we have on Friday, we have the gig economy, people talking about what this loss has meant to their particular industries. And then, of course, our final panel has to be about the youth, where we have the meeting of minds of people representing Kedrick Noel, who is an eminent adjudicator of youth steel band competitions. We have Rosalind Gabriel, who clearly is the dean of Children Carnival, and other persons as well inside of this. So it's not just an academic discussion, but the people reclaiming the space. And this is why we call it the MASS, which is the masquerade, MAS, and the MASS, MASS, reclaiming the particular space.
And one of the reasons I really appreciate some of the people that you've put in there is that you see so many individuals kind of spanning that description of being an academic, of being an activist, being an artist, because sometimes I find all too often we see people would come from outside of a space, from the periphery or even further to the middle, sit at the feet of elders, get that information, write it in a book, and then suddenly they become the experts and they're dispensing this knowledge to different people around the academic circuit, as opposed to saying, okay, well, these are the individuals who have the insider's knowledge, who are able to understand little nuances that can be lost on someone who doesn't know, and they're able to share that. And that actually makes me wonder, has the pandemic, in your view, helped a little bit, the disruption of the pandemic? Because it seems as though it may have taken a little longer before we get to this kind of archiving, these kind of knowledge creation and sharing, storing, curating, so that what we have remains what we have. I think it's Che Lovelace asked the question, what will we do with what we've done? And this seems as though it takes that conversation forward.
It does, and I'm glad you say it takes it forward. I want to be very careful that the University of the West Indies, our Faculty of Humanities and Education, is not going to take credit for starting this conversation. These are conversations that have been ongoing, the tensions between traditional mass and between contemporary mass, traditional practices, and then quote unquote consumerism, what to do with it, how can people earn a living from this without sacrificing their traditional underpinnings. What we are doing is that I think, and I'm going to claim that we are doing both the academic, and as you have correctly pointed out, and we're dealing with also the experts in the field, bringing them together with all of the particular, those sets of tensions, and then saying, then we're going to codify this and keep it moving forward with the ideas which have come out from the academic side and from the practice side as well. So yes, we don't claim, as I said, I don't want anybody to criticize and say there's UB claiming that they started a conversation. No, we are continuing this conversation and we intend to stay with it. I mean, the Department of Creative and Festival Arts, where I've been head, and of course in the Faculty of Humanities and Education, where we reside, these are conversations that happen for our creative and festival arts. You know, we've had Carnival studies. We have people dealing with a master's in creative design and entrepreneurship. Elsewhere in the faculty, their cultural studies is a big part of what we do. So this is a conversation. These are our think tanks of conversation, which we are bringing together under one roof.
It makes me ask, what are some of the things that you want to do with it after? Because please, Mr. Murray, don't just tell me that when you codify, you're going to confine it to a death that is just, you have it in black and white in a book in the library, collecting dust and cobweb. But you'll answer that when we return from the break, though. Stay with us. We're speaking with Jessel Murray, Mr. Jessel Murray, the chairman of the Mass in We Symposium. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are speaking with Mr. Jessel Murray, chair of the Mass in We Symposium, carded for February 24 to 26. It is on. Now, we took the break with me asking the question. I hope you're not killing the thing dead in library. So when it's codified, how does it go forward? What plans do you all have for it?
Well, the nice thing, first of all, about, you know, in the old style, right? You got into a room, you recorded, you hope everything recorded, and you move on from there. The lovely thing about being in this digital format, which has its own drawbacks, but in this digital format, which, you know, with COVID-19, you have to go with the advantages of whatever is there, quote unquote advantages, is that this lives online. This is archived online for people to go over, to take it apart, to visit it at any time. Yes, we will archive it digitally and through our own websites. And therefore, people can go into it and draw from it what they may. And we intend to draw from it as well and decide, you know what, when is the next time that we need to pick this up and continue the conversations to an end point of getting specific recommendations that we can do. You know, there are always things you hear with cultural policy within the country, and it has been going on, creeping along. And these are the sort of things where we can say, you know, based on what we did, here are some specific proposals, some specific ideas. So this is not going to just sit in, as you say, in a library. It's already digital, it's already live, And therefore, people are going to be taking from it right away because people can access this through the University of the West Indies YouTube channel. And then, so and then it resides there because this is not a paid performance. This is free and open to persons, and therefore it's accessible after the fact.
Now, the fact that it is virtual means that it's a lot easier for some people who may not have been able to physically be present to be there. So I want you to take the time to call some name, please, Mr. Murray, because I'm just looking through and seeing some of the people and say, oh, this person presented, oh, we have this person as well. So share some of those names with us.
Off the top of my head, for instance, we have a Dr. Atai, who has been doing one of the soca presentations and is pulling people together all over, including from Canada. I saw an email yesterday, and the name escapes me. I didn't put it in front of me. And the person said, well, my technical check has to be between this time and this time because, if memory serves me right, I'm currently in the Netherlands and I have to work from this time to that time. So can you accommodate me? So these are the sort of things which are working. We have people coming definitely from Jamaica and further the larger. And then, of course, we have yesterday when I was doing some of the technical checks, there are persons from North American universities. So there are lots of, it's a widespread sort of diasporic engagement. And I'm really looking forward, and I hope that people will come and take it in over the 3 days. And as I said, there's at no point does the program stop. It's on the first 2 days, on 9 till 3:30, even on the last day till 4:30. Every time there are interludes, as I said, our interludes are based on film. They're based on other types of interactions, people speaking. So at any time during the day, there's no blank screen just scrolling except the half an hour before. There's always something which people will be taking in, no matter which time zone which you find yourself.
And looking at day 3 specifically, I'm seeing some, I'm talking to you about it and my pause raising, Mr. Murray. And just in terms of like decolonizing Caribbean sexuality, looking at examining the role of information technology in transforming the Caribbean Carnival experience. Yes. Looking at the fact that reinterpreting Carnival through traditions of resistance, all of these things are very timely. Yeah, these are conversations, like you said, that are happening already. So to be able to bring them into a forum that is curated in certain ways, what is the significance of that to you?
Well, also to, lest I forget, people can log on to, of course, when they log on, they can comment, they can speak with us. And I'm glad that we, this has taken on its own evolution. The first day, by the time we looked at the papers, we said the first day has to be devoted to mass. Second day, music and history. Then the third day of all, clearly, because what is Carnival without resistance? Even up to 2021, where the resistance was against stopping the Carnival. And so when we start to examine these sort of things here, they take us right back to the underpinnings of how Carnival started. And now we are, you almost like say, well, gosh, we're in the same position, but in a different way. So yeah, if your paws are raising, I'm just delighted. My brother, I don't have any problem in saying, Ayagro Ome, who is formerly of the NJAC, talk about resistance from the Black Power movement, and he's going to be talking about Calypso. He's going to be moderating the Calypso to soca. So talk about resistance. I know that on the Friday, he's on the Thursday, but on the Friday, he'll be sitting down and he'll be taking note and probably asking questions about the resistance, because that's his life has been defined by that.
And even like looking at the fact that the Juve in me, there's a conversation of you saying that there's no formal carnival, but that not meaning that carnival not keeping, because carnival is in us, carnival is us. So in terms of looking at how these things can be looked through at different lenses, and how it is people bring their own spin to it, so people have an idea of what other people are saying. I think it's very important that something like this is happening, and happening in the way that it is.
I like to say how you said about the idea of carnival in us, because one of my favorite calypsos, and of course I'm thinking about it, the lyrics, is Radorama, Kitchener's Radorama. And I lived through that when, the carnival was removed and put in May, and of course and it rained in the next year. And, and he talked about that people didn't even care, paraphrased. As soon as they got the news, they started jump around, if you see how they gay. And what was comical, in the midst of bacchanal, rain come. because the Carnival was so much in us. As soon as Carnival was officially declared as an external force, people just said they started celebrating, and it didn't matter that rain came in May, because Carnival is Carnival. And we have this sort of spiritual rain that is, taking us over. And we hope that by 2022, that this reign will be over and that the REIGN can continue explicitly.
It makes me wonder sometimes in terms of that spiritual reign, whether or not the value is kind of reaffirmed in the minds of people who may have just been on the sidelines. But when you say, okay, well, you don't know what you have until it's gone, or you see the danger of it being taken away, you start to look at it a little differently, and you start to feel a different kind of gratitude when you're able to. And wondering, what are some of those things in terms of like working towards 2022 when there's something that's a little more physical, hopefully, fingers crossed. What do you want to see coming out of this symposium, this Panchayat?
Well, one of the things that I hold dear, because it's something I operate in my own self as a musician, and my own associations with steel pan. People look at me and say, but you've never done panorama. I said, yes, but I've conducted quite a lot of steel in its various forms. And one of the things I look at, and of course it's one of the underlying tensions of this, and which we are trying to bridge, I can't say solve, is traditional masquerade and practices, contemporary masquerade and practices, and how do we do the consumer, how do we make Carnival attractive? How do we make Carnival attempt to pay for itself without losing what traditional mass and its practices give us? We are trying to marry those two. So we're trying to take, as I said in our things, is that the MASS can take, can regain and can reclaim the MAS, the masquerade, and yet reclaiming does not mean it's for free, because mass can't pay, it can't just go for free. And a lot of people, of course, have lost their gig works, which is one of the things, their gigs, which is one of the things we are examining in our second to last roundtable. So when we look on to 2022, we have to look at, we have reclaimed, let's say we have reclaimed, but we have also reclaimed with an economic sense that we're taking steps forward to get mass starting to pay for itself, to generate that much needed income, because of course our economy is changing faster than we can speak.
And once again, before we end, just remind us of where it is we can see these things, please, Mr. Murray.
So from starting tomorrow, 9 o'clock sharp each day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 24th to the 26th of February, where you can log on to YouTube. Just search for either the Mass in We, or you can look for the University of the West Indies YouTube channel. That's where we will be residing. If you go onto Facebook and you search for us, we will direct you there. So that's where we're going to be for free, 9 to 3:30, 2 days, 9 to 4:30 on the third day. Come on, no matter what time you come in, although we hope you'll stay for a large part of the day. It's a dynamic process, and we're very proud and excited, and we're delighted for your support again.
And you speak about being proud and excited, and I am as well, about that light that is rising out of the west. Thank you very much, Mr. Murray.
Oh, you know your business. Thank you.
And on behalf of the entire news team, I'm DK Roster. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.